I've muted everyone, but as always, if you need to ask a question anytime during class, unmute yourself and ask me, and just mute yourself after you've asked me the question. I want to start with something very, very important, and it's one of what I would consider the best kept secrets of playing guitar. It's how professional musicians, when they can sit down with certain singers and back them almost instantly, this is one of the reasons they do it. They use half of a bar chord written as A5, G5, F#5. You'll see this in your music along the way. But I'm going to show you the chord first, then I'm going to show you, if we can get all the hands on screen for the next hour, that would be awesome, including my own. I need you to stay with me for the next couple of minutes. I'm going to bar on the 6th string, 5th fret. I won't bar, I'm actually pressing this string only, the 6th. And because it's easy, there's a bit of room for forgiveness with the thumb. It doesn't have to be that accurate. Can we all put a capo on for a minute, just so that we're all on the same page here? Can we all capo on the 1st fret? So we're 5 frets up from the capo. Again, I'm using my fret markers on top to make sure I'm in between 2 fret markers. So that first finger is on the 6th string. We're going to add the 3rd finger on the 5th string, up 2 frets. And we're then going to add the little finger just under it. That's the chord. So we're using 3 strings, and we will strum this. Often it's done with downstrokes. We only need 3 strings, so you don't need to hit the bottom 3, and you don't need to bar here either. And it would be even better if the side of the little finger was catching this, so we actually don't even need the fingertips. We can let the fingers angle down a little bit. This is the sound you should get. Just those 3. And I'm going to give everyone a minute practicing that. You can go fast or slow, or you can go down up. Once you're not hitting the bottom 3 strings. That's much easier than a bar chord to do. Jim, I'd like to see your thumb a little lower. Your fingers are bunching a little. Just a little lower. Now you'll be able to spread the fingers easier. There, better. Good man, John. You had it and move down. That's very good, Gemma. Your 2nd finger doesn't need to be on the string, but it'll be kind of hooked in from the practice. Sarah, that's very good. Mark, you're doing very good there as well. Arthur, that's awesome. For someone who wasn't in class last week and still was able to do the class, and now you're doing that, that's really good. Kevin, very good as well. Let me tell you one of the great keys to backing songs, or if you're learning a song and you're doing the G and the D and the E minor, and suddenly there's something like an F sharp minor 7 or something with a sus4 added, and you just don't know how to do it. If you get the power chord of that, which is the top 3 strings, so say instead of the A bar chord, you would just get the power chord. And if you're not sure whether it's minor, major 7 or what it is, the power chord always harmonize with the rest of the group. I'm going to try and prove this to you if I can. Sarah, if you could help me for a minute, I'm going to unmute you there. What I want you to do is to play this power chord with slow down strokes, like this. Great. And I'm going to play an A chord over it. You just continue doing that, and I'm going to keep changing chords, and they will all harmonize. If I do an A7, it'll still harmonize. If I do an A minor, it still harmonizes. If I do an A minor 7, it still harmonizes. Still harmonizes. If I do an A major 7, it'll still harmonize. Okay, that's fine, Sarah. That power chord has harmonized with every one of these. So if I was backing a musician and I wasn't sure, should I do minor, should I do 7 or what, I'm gone straight to the power chord every time. Say I'm doing a song with a G and a D, and there's an A minor, but I'm not sure if it's minor or major or 7, I'd be going G, D, and I'd be gone straight up to the power chord, because I know the power chord will cover me every time. And also there'll be 1 or 2 other musicians around. I don't know if you noticed, but Sarah's guitar seemed like it was changing sound, even though she was playing the same chord. To the listener, they don't know that, so it sounds like it's changing sound. So the group around you will change the chord. That's how important the power chord is. For the next half a minute, I'm going to let you practice that shape anywhere on the guitar. You can go up to the 10th or down to the 2nd, that power chord shape. Power chords in particular sound even better than the chord you're looking for very, very often on electric guitar. So if I'm with acoustic guitar players and they're playing A minors or C major 7s or that, and I'm on electric, I'm gone for the power chord because it just sounds so good with it. It just fills out the sound. From now on, if you're learning a song that has G's, D's, C's or A's, all the chords you're familiar with, and if you hit the bridge of the song or somewhere later and it turns up something like an F sharp minor sus4, just play the F sharp power chord. That is correct every time. I've resorted to this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and I always will. So it takes a lot of pressure off me, knowing that I don't have to hit the precise chord every time. Also, anyone who feels that bar chords is too hard for them, what's wrong with playing power chords? And what's wrong with picking up an electric guitar and playing power chords instead of bar chords? I just also want to move into color chords. If you listen to my guitar, this is A, C, D, G. These are straight sounds. I would see these chords as being black and white. Colored chords are kind of coloring these chords. So instead of C, which is this is a colored version of C, which is known as C major 7. Anyone that knows a C chord, if you take the first finger off, you have the colored version of it. And anyone that knows a D, instead of playing that, just put your first finger across 3 strings on the 2nd fret and strum the bottom 4. You can hear this is a colored sound. When you're playing this type of music in a concert situation, it actually touches people on a deeper level than the straight G's, D's and C's. And once you know this, when you're playing songs with G, D and maybe a C chord, in your practice in private, maybe drop in a C major 7 or possibly a C add 9 as a colored chord. But try to change it from just the same 4 chords that would be in most songs like G, D, E minor, C. Try and get a C9 or a C major 7. The reason I'm saying this is because we had a case of this last week with the song Waiting in Vain. Instead of doing the full on bar, we actually simplified and we barred on the top string and we hit all 6. This was a colored chord we were using. And when we brought it down, we used a colored chord. Can you hear the sound? When you're learning bar chords, you really need to take advantage of this situation and get your colored chords into place as well. Especially anyone that's writing songs, because colored chords give you ideas and it's always good to try and include them, particularly in the slow ballads. Can we all just do an ordinary E chord for a second? Now, I want everyone to slide that chord up 5 frets, and if you strum down, you will hear a colored chord. You can strum that and you will hear a colored chord very clearly. And once you hear these sounds, you will know when they're colored. And if you move it up 2 more frets, you've got another colored chord. And if you move it back to the 2 frets, you're back to the 2nd chord. If you could watch me on screen, if let's say I had a song with an E sequence and a bar chord A and a bar chord B back to A, so instead of doing maybe, I would change that to colored chords to try and make it work. So I'd be getting that sound. This is an easier way to start playing up and down the fretboard, but you're also getting your colored chord awareness. And every chance you get, if there's an A in a song, try and drop in this nice A colored chord. And instead of B, which is a very difficult chord, try to use this B colored chord as much as possible. Strum pattern I was doing with that down, down, up, down, down, down. So I'll give everyone a minute and I'll just watch you practicing there. Can we just keep our hand clawed? I notice some of us, when we go up, we're just losing our shape a little bit. Just keep that claw we had last week. It helps, even though this is not a bar chord. but we need to try and keep the hand in one shape, going up and down. Gemma, you don't need the first finger barring there. You don't need it. If you watch me coming up from the E, you'll see that I'm just bringing the E shape up. There is no bar on this. And you can use your first 3 fingers because you don't need the first finger for a bar. And now it becomes very easy. Mark, just make sure your first finger is on the 3rd string. 3rd string from the bottom up, yeah. If you watch me on screen again, you will see that if I drop the E shape down a string, it's an A minor chord. And that means that what we did last week, turning the fingers around, we could also do with the A minor shape. And next week we're going to look at those A minor shapes. But for tonight, I want to show you another little playing exercise because I'm really trying to get you up and down the guitar neck as easy as possible. This is an A, and if I could get you just to move it up 2 frets, this A minor chord, up 2 frets, and if I could get you to move it up 2 more frets, you can strum it to hear the sound, and back 2 frets. Back to A minor, up 2 frets, up 2 more frets, and back 2 frets. Again, all coloured chords, which are variations on bar chords. For tonight's lesson, we're going to keep the same strum pattern the whole way through so that we don't have too much pressure on you because there's a lot to focus on with bar chords. I just want to strum what this sounds like and then I let you practice it. I'm going to go A minor. You might recognize a lot of songs in that. I'm trying to set up an A bar chord, same as the power chord at the start. So this time, actually not the full bar, the coloured chord variations. Your first finger is on the 6th string, 5th fret, which you know is an A, and we're building our bar chord around that. But clearly you can see that I'm not barring, I'm only pressing the top string. From there, we just saw how the A minor is like the E shape. So watch what I'm going to do here, and if you can do your best to copy this, I'm actually going to come back 1 fret, but I'm also coming down a string. Did you see how I did that? Because we need to be able to move these shapes between the top string up and down. Let's go back to the first, the A coloured chord. We're coming back a fret, but it's also coming down. Ideally, we want to go at that angle rather than going across and down. So this is what we're aiming for. If you've got that, from the 2nd chord, we're going to go back 1 more fret and we're going to go back up 1. And there's 1 more chord sequence in this, which we'll do now to get this out of the way. We're going to go back another fret and we're going down 1. And you've got most of another great guitar song under your belt here. Let's go back to the start. A bar chord, the bar is on the 5th. From the 5th, if you know this, you can go ahead of me. So we're going back a fret and down a string. This is the 2nd chord. 3rd chord, we're going back a fret and up a string. And 4th chord, we're going back a fret and down a string. If I was to strum this slowly with the same pattern that we had earlier on, it would go from here to here to here to here and back to the start. So that's most of a very famous song, but it's a short piece of music that does wonders for your guitar playing because you don't have the pressure of memorizing, and yet you're working across the guitar neck and up and down that 1 string, which is going to be a very, very important skill. So again, I'm going to give everyone a minute out just to work on that sequence. And they're all coloured chords. You're pressing one string only with your bar finger. Michael, could you take the capo off, because these won't sound right with the capo on. Thank you, Michael. Unless you wanted to move them all up a fret, and then that would sound right, but you'd be out of key for the song then. Mark, you're doing great there for someone who's playing guitar not that long. Kevin, thumb lower and centered. I notice some of us, when we're moving chord, we're trying to build a new chord when we move. The key is to try and hold your claw shape and move the unit. And that comes back to that exercise we did last week. If you claw your hand, you're going to find this sequence much easier to play. But the thumb has to be reasonably low and centered to get it. That's great, Michael. Gemma, your fingers, yeah, you have it now. And just make sure you're starting on the 5th fret. Now you can strum all 6 strings. Arthur, you've improved, but the thumb still needs to go down a little. It's just too high. I think that it's great that everyone is playing so much tonight, because when we started last week, we had very little to work with. So it ended up being a very technical lesson. But from tonight onwards, you'll be playing a lot more guitar for this lesson and for the last 2 lessons. Just to take that one step further, in your worksheet, you will also see where this is also done as a full bar. Can you see the way instead of that, you also have the option of going full bar? If I was playing this song, I would do some of it as coloured chords, and I would do some of it, all now full bars. And what I would do then is I would do maybe 2 coloured chords, 2 full bar, and then I'd reverse that to 2 bar and 2 colours. So I've got loads of ways of mixing up the 4 chords so that you're not just repeating this all the time. So if you listen. Now that you know the power chords, if you didn't know what they were, but you knew the positions, you could resort to doing the power chord, which is the top 3. And then this one here, the power chord, obviously would be the 5th, 4th and 3rd. Do you see what I'm doing with the 6th to make sure it doesn't sound? That's how I'm doing it. So I'm going from here, if you want it super close up. This is the A, and when I go down, I'm actually tipping it off there. That's the professional way to do this, and I believe that's the right way to do it, even if you're just starting in bar chords. When I go down one more, you'll see the way I'm coming back up here to this one. And when I come down, can you see the way I'm able to tip out the 6th? Because this power chord is 5th, 4th and 3rd strings. There, there, there. In that song is over 1 million songs. You have your coloured chord version, you have a bar chord version, and you have the power chord version. I'm going to give everyone 1 more minute practicing there. If you need to rest, that's fine, but just so that you're clear on all this. If anyone is cramping, we're going to start dealing with that in about 10 minutes time. On lesson 4, we will work with our right hand, because as good as all these chords are, my chord hand is technically 100% correct. As you can see, there is no waste movement when I change chords. But as good as that is, you don't hear any music. It's only when the right hand comes on this, the strumming hand, that it comes alive. Lesson 4 will be a lot more right hand, because we'll have done this hand, if that makes sense. But we've got to get this hand good in order to get this on. We'll be finished the program, then you'll know enough to teach yourself thousands of songs. Just let me demonstrate this with the actual song for a second to let you hear it. I hope you can hear that. That's it there. Back to the start. Even if you don't like the song, it would be great just to get the guitar skills down. Then you can chuck the song and apply it to your own songs. From there, bar chords are not easy. I'm actually trying to make it as easy as I possibly can for you to get them. But where most people fall down with bar chords, and it's not their fault, I blame the teachers for not making them aware of it, is actually when they're doing the Ds and the As and the E minors and Gs, all that's fine. But when they go to change into a bar chord, it's a completely different hand position. They end up something like that, and it's too late. The next bar is gone. We need to be technically very good to get from C's and F's and G's and D's to bar chords. So I've come up with an exercise going to go from C to F chord in so many songs. The goal of this exercise is to be able to do that, and there's a pivot which helps us, and if we can do that, then we can start going from other chords to that as well. Do you see the way I'm able to do it from every chord? But from C, I want you to start by taking your second finger down one string. That's step one. Down one string. And your little finger goes onto the fourth string. It's just gone under the third finger. That's step two. Step three then, we just drop the thumb straight down at the back. I'll just give you a look at my guitar. That's where it is at the moment. You can let it go a small bit left for comfort if you want to. Just a little bit, not much. And then it should be easy to get your bar finger to go across 6 strings. And that's an F chord. Now, and you can strum this as well. You can strum it because F is a nightmare chord for people beginning guitar in particular. Gemma, can you go back 1 fret, please? The bar chord should be across 1 fret. Let's go back on now with C. From there, step 1, take the second finger down 1. I'll give you a super close up there. That goes down 1. You'll see the little finger going in under the third. Then you'll see the thumb dropping straight down at the back. That's step 3. And from there, you should be able to bar across 6 to get your bar chord, F. You can strum that then to see what it sounds like. I'm going to let everyone practice that for about a minute. If you have any question, just ask me. If not, you can just practice or take a rest. John, you're doing very well there. Gemma, you're doing very well. Sarah, that's amazing. The goal of this exercise is to be able to do all that in one move. That's one of the real keys to playing guitar. It's not the chords, it's actually how good you are between the chords, which nobody is teaching or writing about. But if you watch how tight I am between the chords, that gives me a great chance compared to a lot of players. So these 4 moves, I'm doing them instantly. As you practice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's going to be your goal with all these drills. And if you watch Sarah, she actually has it there already because we did this about 6 months ago. We were working on all this. I would like to think in 6 months' time, all of ye will be as Sarah is on screen there at the moment. If you keep doing your 4-step exercise, you will get to it. Also with the F, you have the option to colour the F chord by just barring the top string only. You don't have to bar all 6. Do you hear that? This chord changes in millions of songs. So it's very, very important for your guitar playing. But you're actually working on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other chord changes here. If you watch the screen for 1 second, if you really want to make the most of this exercise, do you see this third finger here that's not moving? Watch when I'm going back to C, it still doesn't move. So if it's not moving going to F, it automatically follows that it doesn't move when you're going back to C. If you can find a pivot finger, it makes difficult chord changing much easier. That's very good, Arthur, what you're doing there. Very, very good. Every top player is a master at pivot fingering. I've actually extended that. If you watch my chord hand carefully, when I'm going into bar chords, I actually stay on the string. Do you see what I'm at here? I actually don't take the finger off at all, because when I figured out how to pivot in, so if I'm going off up here somewhere, do you see how easy it is for me? Because my third finger is literally just doing that. So that exercise I'm doing there will help you enormously further down the road. If you wanted to, from there, you could add the little finger under it, and you could slide the two fingers up and down. And then if you wanted to, you could add the second finger behind that, and you could slide the three of them up and down. And if you wanted to, you could then add the first finger and slide the four of them up and down. So there's another little 4-step exercise that would help you. I started with the third finger, then add the little finger, then add the second finger, then add the first finger. I remember years ago I was in a group and there was a cowboy guitar player in the group, which wasn't fair because he was getting paid the same money as us, but I sometimes had to make my guitar sound like two guitars to make up for his deficiency. But when we were doing a song called La Bamba, which is C, C, you can see the chord change C. All he was doing was sitting on the third string like this, just going up and down. So this is what the cowboys do, and I was going. And we were getting paid the same. So I had to leave that band because of that. It was going on in every song. One string, that's all he was doing. That's just one of many songs that comes to mind. And you will also have the option, if F is too much, the F power chord, which is just the top three strings. And again, C to F power chord is very gettable, because you always have the power chord if you can't do the full chord and you're hitting three strings. We're going to deal with the issue of cramp and pain, because if you don't, the most you can play bar chords is for about a minute, because the hand just seizes up. There's three ways to vamp strings, which will do two things for you. It's going to solve the pain problem, but it's actually going to make our rhythm sound an awful lot better. Now, we should be in a bar chord to do this, but I don't want you to cramp altogether. So I want you to press and then do a downstroke right across 6, and then release. Now, so you're going to press before you strum, do the strum, and release immediately. So you're pressing first, then strum, and then release. Okay, there's a bit of sound there because they're open strings. See, could you speed that up? So you're going to press, go down, and release. D chord would be better for this if you keep your strumming low, because you can hear how it's stopping. If it was a bar chord, it would stop completely. You can stay on D or G, and if you can just keep practicing that, you press, strum down, and release. Okay, so there's a second way to vamp. You'll notice now that there's no cramping, because the fingers are getting a little break in between. It's not a sustained pressure. This is the second way to vamp. You're going to press as you're going down. So I'm pressing as I go down, and I'm releasing immediately afterwards. The third way is not to press at all, just to leave your fingers there and just strum. Do you see the way there's no sound? Just that. So you're not pressing at all, you're just leaving the finger there and just going down. So there's 3 different ways to vamp there. The first one, you press and go and release. The second one, you press as you go down. And the third one, you don't press at all. Once you get good at them, we can then, you can hear you can hear these little moves. So the fingers are constantly jumping on and off, which is giving them little rests, but making the sound better. On your screen, you will see a practice program, power chords, which is in the start of your worksheet, colored chords. There's 4 rhythm exercises that we practiced in class, and if you can't remember, there's video embedded to help you. Again, we have that 4-step exercise from C to F, and we have those 3 little vamping exercises. And that covers everything we did tonight.